So what's going on guys, Kids here, and welcome back to a brand new video. For today we will look into Life is Feudal MMO, and we will see if this game is worth playing in 2024. Owners of the original Life is Feudal MMO on Steam will get 30 days additional subscription, and players who have made any purchase during the previous Life is Feudal MMO round will receive special lift coins that can be exchanged for a subscription, while new players will get a free 7-day trial. So no matter if you're new or old player, now is definitely the best time to get back into the game and explore this awesome sandbox world, as there is even planned a balanced restoration campaign launch for the veteran players coming in the near future. And just before we start, I want to clarify that yes, this video is sponsored, but I'm not getting paid for saying positive or negative things about the game. All that they said is just to give a try to this game and see if I like it. And then at the end of the video, you want to try this game out, then click my link in the description to download and play the game. So with that said, if this sounds interesting to you, then let's get right into it. So then first of all, before we get into the nitty and gritty game details and my personal experience, let me quickly introduce you to Life is Feudal MMO. So this game is set into a medieval setting and in a world known as Abela. This is a vast continent with over 37 massive regions to explore. And just for a single character to explore this world will be a big challenge, as the entire area measures 21 by 21 kilometers, and thousands of players are constantly online to challenge you. Life is Feudal is a very hardcore game where surviving alone is almost impossible. Each character has their own unique specializations, both in peace and war. Overall, there are two daily game periods called the peacetime and wartime. During peacetime, you and other players should explore the world, collect resources and craft equipment, but then during the hour of war, you can switch to your combat profession to fight with players from another guild. In my opinion, the sandbox element is the most important gameplay component of the game, because each player is free to define their own goals and ambitions. So from being a simple farmer, to building castles, and even to becoming a politician that disputes major conflicts between guilds and much more. While we are talking about group activities, let's move over to the guilds. And each player can decide to play solo in a guild or in a small group and be able to find success in whatever you would like to do. I personally recommend to play this game in a group, because for you to become strong and efficient, you will have to specialize. Each player has a limited number of skill points, so you won't be able to specialize into everything, and that's why having a team of different players with different skills is the key to success. You will want to group up with other players if you want to, so you could synergize with them, or at least live near other settlements, so then you could trade with one another. So now let's move over to the economy system, and for this MMO it is very advanced. As I've stated, this is a very hardcore game where survival alone is very difficult but still doable. So each character has their own unique different specializations when it comes to crafting, gathering and wartime. By default, you will automatically get assigned one of the game's skills, which you can use to cooperate with other players, and this small system is implemented to give you a head start. As far as being able to specialize in new skills, that will be your personal choice. As I said at the start, there are two daily time periods, so there's a peacetime and wartime. Although that means that there's no limitations when it comes to the war cycle and PvP, so you won't have to deal much with other players when it comes during the peacetime. You and other players can explore the world, collect resources, craft equipment and whatever you want, and then during the hour of war, you can switch to your combat profession to fight with the other players from other guilds and siege towns. But as there is no limit, it's again up to you if you want to participate or not. Another important highlight that I really want to focus on is when it comes to this game is that everything you see is player built, and not just the player buildings, but even the terrain itself, because there is terraforming, which will allow for the player freedom to create whenever they want. So for example, you have to flatten the land, lower it or raise it. Everything you can see you can build, but of course it can take quite a bit of time. You won't be able to do everything in one day, especially if you're playing only in a small group or by yourself. It's going to take you quite a bit of time, and like I said in the wartime, you have to be aware of the danger and potentially be ready to defend your base should the opportunity present itself. When you and your friends just start the game, you can pick whatever location you want on the map, and as long as it's not already taken, you will likely be able to move in there and have the option to build and construct whatever you want. Like I said, terraforming is a big part of this game, so when it comes to the freedom that you have with the system, you can do anything from building giant moats to creating entire raised flat hills, to even putting your castle on top of a mountain and much more. Life is Feudal MMO, in my opinion, has one of the best life skilling systems in any game that I ever played. I've even seen a bunch of players becoming an expert blacksmith, to a certain point that they don't even participate in the combat system, but instead they strictly focus on their life skills, so they go mining, make armor, build structures and much more. You may notice as well that every action you do has a timer. It is not something that's instant, and it may take like 3 seconds to open a box, or just to pull a hammer. And if you're making multiple items, you will probably notice very quickly that this is something that could take a little bit more time than it would in other games. Of course, there's also benefits to this. You're able to actually queue up multiple actions. So if you're gathering herbs or mining, you can continuously select the option, and then you will be able to queue it up, which gives the player more of a relaxing atmosphere, that you don't have to constantly be clicking on the screen hundreds of times. As most of the things we see our player build, the same thing is applied to the items we use. So players can craft pretty much anything from the artisan category, mining, forestry, householding, gathering, hunting, construction, material processing, carpentry, forging, farming, herbalism, and a lot more. And then for the combat skills, you've got cavalry, militia, footman, slinger, assaulter, knight, spearman, swordsman, archer, vanguard, lancer, guard, and much more. And these also have their own pathways, so you can go from the militia to spearman, to guard and then to footman, to swordsman and etc. And it's kind of the same with the crafting skills, so you have to level up the baseline mining to get to the material processing, and then proceed to prospecting and so on. Some other baseline things that you will want to know is that there is an attribute system. When you're creating your character, the race that you pick does have an influence on this. The stats that you will see available in the game are strength, agility, constitution, intelligence and willpower. You will also notice that there is a hunger system. It's kind of ties into your stamina regeneration, but if it reaches 0, it's also going to start draining your regular HP, and then it's going to result in fainting and eventually even death. So for that not to happen, there is a cooking and herbalism system in this game. There are lots of different types of food that you can utilize. So again, to cook you will need to gather ingredients, then level up your cooking skill and etc. This system basically works the same way as crafting, and it will include things like herbalism, alchemy and etc. So now let's talk about PvP, as there is a wartime and peacetime, so you can't just freely kill players in peacetime without any penalties, and that's why the alignment system exists. If you repeatedly kill people, it will start to bring you down your alignment. At the initial start, you will have maximum of 1000 positive to go for. The alignment affects the amount of skill points you lose in death. So if you're down towards like negative 1000 and you go down, then you're going to lose quite a bit, and you will have to regain those by training your skills back up. Alignment also raises quite slowly, but it drops very quickly. Other PvP activities except in the open world are the PvP arenas and the instant battles. So the most fun instant battles is an in-game mechanic that allows guilds to fight each other away from the open world. The goal of the battle is to gain control of province. The attacking and defending team have a 50 vs 50 or 100 vs 100 battle, which will decide the ownership of the province and the wager which the attackers provide. When the attackers issue the battle, the timer starts, and the battle is scheduled to happen in at least 24 hours later, so that both sides have time to prepare and select their teams. This system is similar to old GVG wars in Albion or Line, or in the New World Castle fights. I am personally a massive fan of large-scale PvP, so any game that gives me an army to command or to participate in as a soldier is definitely going to interest me. So then with all of this said, now let's move over to my final thoughts. Life is Feudal really provides the players with a true medieval survival sandbox experience. so you can do whatever you want. You want to ride a horse? Go for it. You want to become a monk and live on top of a mountain and survive off the land? Then again, go for it. When it comes to the other player choices, this game has everything imaginable. Another thing that I really like is that this game has no pay to win, so all you need to do is buy the monthly subscription to access the game and that's it. Other players can't get an advantage over you by just simply paying more IRL money, and everything done in the game, like owning your land, can be easily earned by playing the game itself. Then as far as complexity goes, again we get everything we want, from complex crafting to farming to a cool building system and etc. In the beginning, you tend to go into many different skill trees to get you started, but sooner or later you specialize, which means that you cannot do everything on your own, or at least not with one character, which encourages players to interact, trade and also make your character valuable to others who seek someone with your skills. And then finally, Life is Feudal is very grindy, and for me this is a massive plus. I know that that is not everybody's cup of tea, but for a hardcore experience, this is exactly what I was looking for. This game is by far not as grindy as for example Worm Online, which for me makes the grind actually entertaining. Also, your skills keep advancing while you're offline, as long as you have an unspent XP on you. So no matter if you're mainly a PvP or a PvE player, or just right in the middle, so doing both, then you will find definitely things to do for hours upon hours, and the whole world will be just waiting for you to dominate. Either way, in trade, in crafting, or just by simply conquering it with your guild members. So with that said, I really do appreciate everyone for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. Life is Feudal MMO is already available on Steam, increasing its availability to a global audience. So as I said in the beginning, right now is the best time to return or try this game out as a new player, because veteran players will get all in-game expenses, including early version purchases and Steam transactions restored as bonuses to use in subscriptions or renewals, while new players will get a free 7-day trial. So no matter if you're a new or old player, now is definitely the best time to get back into the game. So if you are interested, then click my link in the description. And with that said, thanks again to Life is Feudal for sponsoring this video. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe and enable that notification bell, so this way you could support my channel and not miss any more upcoming content. With that said, you have an amazing day and I will see you in my next video, so take it easy, peace.